much though?
Lots. Or untruths.
How many? 11?
11.
How many?
That's 11 to a billion.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's.
No, they're not.
Leif, honey.
You know what, when we get done?
I'm only getting my phone out with pictures.
Yeah.
What's your afraid Jim's going to breathe on me?
No. He's been breathing on me for a while.
Yeah, that was neat. CJ, is the gift shop open?
Should be.
When we get back, it'll be open.
Don't ever
All aboard the North Shore Scenic Railroad's Duluth Zephyr. My name is Ken.
And I'm Kim. We'll be your hosts during the excursion. Today's trip will take us through downtown Duluth, then along the shoreline of Lake Superior. Through Leif Erikson Park, we'll climb up Lemon Drop Hill and into the historic Congdon District. We'll then travel to the neighborhood of Lakeside, where we will pause to turn around and come back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on. All right.
The Lake Superior Railroad Museum, where we are departing from, is open 7 days a week, and we encourage everyone to go through the depot at some point after we return to check out the ever.
This is Monday. Wait a minute. What day
Today
is
our
this? Friday.
excursion will be
Yay! It's Friday!
witness a metamorphosis, a change from summer's greens and browns to autumn's brightest colors,
And you did not.
painted with a palette of blazing reds, yellows, and golds. The North Shore Scenic Railroad is pleased
this
to
too
welcome
loud?
you aboard for our fall colors
Okay,
train.
thank you.
This is our second spring, when every leaf is a flower. Turkish playwright Mehmet Yildiz said that, quote, the forest is fall. Once entered, you never look for the exit. Poet Sarah Addison Allen wrote of autumn as a recipe. Fall colors are like a cobbler's crust around shores that are closed. My favorite quip of the season comes from an 11-year-old girl, Anne Shirley, who exclaimed with delight at seeing her first autumn on Prince Edward Island. I'm so glad I live in a world where there are opportunities. Not sure you remember Miss Shirley? Well, she is Lucy Maud Montgomery's character Anne of Green Gables. Love everything and everyone with a passion. This is the time of year when the passion of the forest lights up the hills with a blaze of color that we'll see today from your window seat on the North Shore Scenic Railroad. To autumn I say welcome. We are on our way. When we were boarding, I noticed a few of you with cameras and smartphones that have cameras in them. Photography is encouraged, and I invite you to take many, many pictures. We hope that you'll upload these photos to our Facebook page, which is North Shore Scenic Railroad, or our Twitter and Instagram handle at Duluth Trains. We can also be found on TripAdvisor, where you can leave feedback for us after the trip.
Here at the North Shore Scenic Railroad, safety is our first concern. You are free to move through the train, but please be careful as you do, for there is a lot of side-to-side movement, especially in the concession car. As you walk through the train, please keep a hand on the back of the seats or something sturdy. Please always walk on the train. There is no running allowed. If you walk through the area between the cars, known as the vestibules, shoes must be worn and laces tied. Children must be accompanied by an adult at all times. This is for their safety as well as...
That was a fast trip.
Yeah. These are stacked quick.
I didn't even give my second drink.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I didn't even give my second drink.
Did you see that moose?
I barely saw the water. I'm not sure, but maybe their garbage didn't work so well.
The switchman got out.
Yeah,
Switch tracks.
switch tracks. We're going back to that.
We're going back there.
I thought we should be going that way.
Yeah,
I was confused too.
Yeah.
I thought you go farther for some reason.
So they said all those rules, but they didn't say anything about starting a fire, did they?
Yeah,
They didn't say anything about starting a fire.
well, fire does smoke. So.
Oh, why is it smoking?
No. I'm just gonna keep it all warm.
No, this
It is kind of cold in here, seriously.
Picture of
Yeah.
the two of us.
On the lakeside of the train, we begin the tour with the new Pure B Hotel and Resort, which is the former site of an industry called Huron Cement. It operated the concrete silo you see in the background and unloaded cement from ships here. Over the past few years, the property has been converted to house this large new hotel complex.
This is a pretty cool pump.
It is, yeah.
Girls by the aquarium, honey.
Now on the lakeside of the train is Bayfront Festival Park. It's home to many events throughout the year, including the 4th of July Festival, with bands and the Midwest's largest fireworks display ever. Bayfront Blues Fest is here in August, and for the holidays, the Bentleyville Tour of Lights, one of the biggest and brightest outdoor light shows of its kind in the world. And there are many big-name concerts here by the water, too. Robert Zimmerman grew up in Duluth. He played here, but you probably know him better as Bob Dylan.
I thought he was from Denver.
Bob Dylan performed in Bayfront Park several years ago with Paul Simon.
No, he just Rocky Mountain High.
Next to Bayfront is a
heard
multi-level,
about that,
multicolored
right?
building.
Yeah.
This is the Great Lakes Aquarium and Freshwater Discovery Center. It houses aquarium exhibits, a natural history center, science center, and cultural exhibits. Kids of all ages love the playful river otters and interactive, touch-friendly displays. Yes, you can actually pet some of the fish.
The Duluth Entertainment and Convention Center, now coming up on the lakeside of the train,
No, I think
is
that was
also known as the DEF, and has continuously grown over the years to be a complete entertainment venue. It includes a conference center, several auditoriums, large arena, curling club, symphony hall, Vista Fleet ticket office, and its newest addition, the Amsoil Arena, home of the University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldog men's and women's hockey teams.
There's that ultra screen thing.
Big ship.
If you look onto the lakeside of the train, you will see a large red ship. This is the William A. Irvin, which was once the flagship of the United States Steel Company's Great Lakes fleet. It was built in 1938 and 610 feet long. The Irvin sailed on Lake Superior for 40 years and was retired in 1978. It was moved to this slip in 1986 and is on the National Register of Historic Places. It is now a museum open to the public for tours. Modern ships are a bit bigger than the Irvin. The Paul R. Tregurtha is currently the largest ship on the Great Lakes, which dwarfs the Irvin at 1,014 feet.
The Red Lobster. You won't go to the very ship because they want to give you kids free when you go in there.
Yeah. I see that.
They want to give you a free ticket. Yeah, I got enough of those.
We know where that is. If it's kids free with paid admission, I ain't gonna pay to go in there. It happens,
Looks
sorry.
like an NBC news station right there. It's got a peacock on the top.
We're going to go through a short tunnel that is underneath Lake Place Park. It's home to the Sister Cities International Sculpture Garden. As we exit the tunnel, you'll see the greatest of the Great Lakes, the largest lake on the entire planet, Lake Superior. And now, on the lakeside of the train.
Oh, baby.
Tomatoes?
Is that what that is? I thought it was a tomato. That's a tomato.
Here's the lake.
If you look out onto the lake, you will see a red buoy that marks the spot where the edge of Duluth's original outer harbor breakwater was built in 1868. This was not an ideal place for a harbor since there was little protection from the harsh waves and weather that come off the lake. Today, the buoy marks the right side of the shipping channel, preventing boats from wandering to the area where many obstructions from the old outer harbor remain.
Coming up on the lakeside of the train are several veteran and war memorials, including the Korean and Vietnam memorials that honor those from the Northland who lost their lives in these respective wars. You'll also notice a large ship anchor. This is from the USS Duluth, which was recently decommissioned and scrapped. Veterans that served on the ship saved its anchor and brought it here in 2014 with the help of the railroad you're on right now, which hauled the anchor into place on a flat car. The anchor rests here in honor of all the veterans of the naval services who served on the USS Duluth.
Oh, it's pretty honey.
The Vickers Brewery is now above the wall on the land side of the train. It is Duluth's first brewery, originally founded by Sidney Luce in 1857. The current brewery was constructed in 1882, and its name, A. Vicker and Company, came in 1884 from August Vicker and other shareholders. Production of their beer continued for 40 years until Prohibition began in 1920. Many breweries shut down during this time, but Vickers stayed open by making candy bars and bottling soda pop. Vickers was one of only 11 national breweries to survive and brew again after Prohibition was repealed in 1933. And the fun started all over again.
That's right, business boomed, and Vickers bottled 100,000 barrels a year through the 1930s. The doors of the Vickers Brewery finally closed in 1972, ending 115 years of brewing. The building was renovated and reopened in 1984 with a 48-room hotel, eventually adding shopping, dining, a new brewery, and other entertainment. Today, Vickers is a great place to visit while you're in Duluth.
Yeah, but they were good. I bought them a second time too, but they were so spicy. I couldn't eat them.
They're probably die guy. You know that.
Yeah, but where did something do that? So I said, what's the
We are now entering Leif Erikson Park, named after the famous Viking explorer. Leif Erikson is believed to be the first European to set foot in the New World. Historians believe he beat Christopher Columbus here by 500 years.
Wow.
As we pass by Leif Erikson Park, you may see the park stage. It is the large stone structure built in the late 1930s as a WPA, Works Progress Administration project, and home to many outdoor events here in Duluth, including every Friday night's free movies in the park during the summer.
stop and wait.
Christopher State.
Stop.
Yeah, we didn't talk, so.
The lady in the red big jacket walks through the Fremont. Her name is Helen. What? The tour guide.
Although not visible from the train, above us on the land side is the Duluth Rose Garden, located at the northeast end of Leif Erikson Park. The perennial garden is built around a stone fountain that was gifted to the city of Duluth in 1905 in honor of pioneer George C. Stone. The Rose Garden is cared for by the city of Duluth and is in bloom from late June through the summer and is among many highly suggested places to visit here in Duluth.
I missed the whole.
But it's sweet.
Now traveling parallel to us on the land side of the train is Interstate 35. It begins at 26th Avenue East here in Duluth, which is just a few blocks up from where we are right now, and ends all the way down in Laredo, Texas, 1,591 miles away at the U.S.-Mexico border. Back here in Duluth, right at 26th Avenue East, you'll find Blackwood's Bar and Grill, a fantastic Duluth restaurant with locations in Proctor and Two Harbors as well. Train fans, you'll love its G-scale model railroad that travels throughout the restaurant. You'll find a coupon on the back of your ticket for a few dollars off at Blackwood's. This location was once a railroad yard with a train station called Candian. This industrial neighborhood in Duluth was removed when the freeway was extended, and the attractive Candian Depot building was moved by trucks to Canal Park, where it can be found today. We have now begun our climb up Lemon Drop Hill. More on that in just a moment. But between our train and the lake, you'll see a paved walkway known as the Duluth Lake Walk. It begins in Canal Park at the foot of the aerial lift bridge and wraps along the Lake Superior shoreline to Brighton Beach Park, a distance of 7.3 miles. The lake walk is enjoyed by walkers, joggers, inline skaters, bicyclists, and leashed pets.
Leashed pets.
That's 61. It's more short. That's the route I'm taking up to
Oh, wow, wow.
the Two Harbors.
Oh, hang on.
The townhomes on the lake side of the train are part of Beacon Point condominiums and resorts. These were built about 10 years ago and sell between $500,000 and $700,000. The next group of homes on the lakeside are a little larger and more upscale.
I'm
They
just
sell
picking
for
up
over
stuff.
$1 million
All right,
each.
thank you.
I'm not trying to hurry anyone. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's in our budget, right?
See, look, it's pulling up. The engine's pulling pretty hard.
Thank you. I'll take that.
All I know is it costs $30 for a bad taste of cream. Let's take a chance.
Edmonds building. She looks like the Edmonds Fitzgerald.
Right.
No, I didn't think it was David. He'd be excited about that.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would.
Lived on that.
Take a picture of that.
Lived on that.
Yeah.
That'd be expensive. Definitely couldn't be afraid of the water.
That's where we stayed. Edgewater Hotel. Edgewater. It wasn't. It was. It's been a hurry. Of course, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Little like the electricity.
Where did you stay when you were here?
Oh, we didn't know my husband.
We are now approaching the second tunnel on our excursion. It's at 26th Avenue East, where I-35 ends and becomes London Road.
27 years.
Our train has just completed a climb of about 50 feet over the past half mile of track climbing what we call Lemon Drop Hill. For the runners of Grandma's Marathon, held each June, heading from Two Harbors to Duluth's finish line in Canal Park, this is the most difficult part of the whole race, as the marathon course goes uphill, which crosses above the tunnel we are going through. Lemon Drop Hill is named after a family-owned restaurant that once stood near the railroad tracks and was called the Lemon Drop Cafe. Oh yes, there was a dish of lemon drop candies right at the checkout stand.
The train is now entering Congdon Park, an area named after Chester Congdon, who built the famous Glensheen Mansion from 1905 to 1908. Chester Congdon was a lawyer, businessman, and philanthropist who fell in love with the Duluth area. The mansion he built is a neo-Jacobean style home and has 39 rooms that reflect life at the turn of the century.
The Congdon family selected the land for their mansion in part because it's so private. It's buffeted by Lake Superior to the south and London Road to the north. The Congdons purchased the lot to the east, and the cemetery forms the western border. Mrs. Congdon wanted quiet neighbors.
Glensheen is now owned and operated by the University of Minnesota Duluth and is open to the public for tours. It had its share of fame with Hollywood. In 1972, the famous actress Patty Duke was at the mansion, starring in the thriller You Like My Mother. In 1992, Patty Duke's son Mackenzie Aston also came to Duluth to star in the Disney movie Iron Will, which used some of Lake Superior Railroad Museum's equipment.
Of course, there was also a famous double homicide that occurred at Glensheen on June 27th of 1977. Elizabeth Congdon and her night nurse were brutally murdered by the husband of one of Miss Congdon's adoptive daughters. The notoriety of this event was a national story and brought infamous attention to the already fascinating history of the Glensheen estate.
Glensheen is Duluth's very own Downton Abbey that is open for tours all year round.
Did anybody see it? The mansion she's talking about?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see it.
Really, when we first started?
We saw it.
We'll find it on the map. Yeah, maybe on the way back we'll catch it.
We're slowing down right now to cross two bridges. Now is a good time to grab your cameras. First bridge is a street overpass, and if you look to the lake side of the train, you'll see the cemetery of Glensheen's western border. The second bridge is over Tisher Creek, also known as Congdon Creek, because it flows directly through the Congdon estate, the family which built Glensheen Mansion. The bridge we are on is 107 feet long and stands 40 feet above the water.
That's one of my favorite appetizers when I do catering. Oh, it's cream cheese and chives stuffed into a package.
Yeah, we have been on a couple cruises, and one of our cruises at the wine bar, they had Orson stuffed pepperoni peppers. Oh my god, they
what was it?
Orson cheese.
Oh my god!
It's almost like a cream cheese, but it's like soft, but it kind of crumbles, and it's so good.
Neat.
Yeah,
I like
it's good
you
stuff.
too. I like you two a lot.
Yeah.
No,
I like them.
I could eat a little bit at a time.
I'll give the pepper a
It's time to
try.
take out your English class.
A little
Here's today's
spicy,
lesson.
it's a little sweet. Yeah, they're delicious.
Fall foliage, like what is found in Minnesota's Arrowhead and along the North Shore of Lake Superior, is similar in nature, by nature, to what you'd see in Adirondack Park in upstate New York or the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's because, like those famous locations, the types of trees, combined with a similar climate at this time of year, set the woods on fire with color. Our autumn spectacular is mostly seen in deciduous trees like maples, elms, oak, and aspen. But the leaves don't actually change color. The color is always present. Reds, golds, yellows, and orange hide in each leaf as carotenoids, or anthocyanins, are unmasked in fall as the sun fades and the days cool. That's because the green chlorophyll that produces the tree's nutrients fades like the sun as the days grow shorter. And as the green leaves the leaves, all the fall metamorphosis replaces it with the colors we are seeing today. So why is the blast of red on that tall maple tree the first to show its color? Because maples, especially sugar maples, are the most sensitive to changes in the weather associated with fall.
That makes sense.
Maples start to shut down early or become dormant to protect themselves from the harshness of winter. A long drought in summer, followed by heavy rains in fall, signals the tree to prepare for cold and snow. This year we had such a weather pattern. A hot, dry middle of summer, followed by heavy rains in late August and early September. That means we should be seeing color like what covered northern Minnesota and Wisconsin in the drought year of 2012. Now that was an autumn spectacular.
The house.
Well, I'm up to like 57 trees.
Yeah.
340 million.
Random pole. It's
Right.
like,
It's kind of hard living on both sides.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know this side, but well, we should look on this side, they're going all the way back. But I want to see it all. Those are good numbers.
Are we going to go backwards on the way back?
So we
Yeah.
can switch sides, so that's why.
Quick turn around.
But it probably won't because of the way that it pulled in and left. It'll probably go backwards. Yeah. All the way back.
Yeah, looks like a school.
If you look to the land side of the train, you'll see a large building and sports field. This is the new East High School, location of the former Ordine Middle School, which was named for Albert I. Ordine. Mr. Ordine purchased this land from Northland Country Club, which had planned to use the property as a 6-hole golf course that actually had fairways split by Superior Street. Balls would fly directly over the street. The idea of the golf course was abandoned, and Mr. Ordine gave the property to the city of Duluth. It was to be used as a recreational field, and in 1928, when Mr. Ordine passed away, he left money for equipment for the playing field. In 1954, the city of Duluth transferred the property to the Board of Education, and construction began on the school. It served first as a junior high, then as a middle school, and now as a state-of-the-art East High School. Go Greyhounds!
Okay, a 6-hole golf
Minnesota
course.
became a state on May 11, 1858, and Duluth became a city on March 6, 1870.
Duluth has a very unique shape as it is 27 miles long and only about 3 miles wide. This is, of course, due to the geography of the area along the shore of Superior, which has a huge impact on Duluth's weather. Mark Twain is often quoted as saying, "The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in Duluth."
Duluth has had its share of famous people get their start here. The Great Lakes Aquarium is built on the former site of Jimmy Orrick's Flame Restaurant, which was famous in its day with a dockside service for pleasure boaters. A relative of Jimmy Orrick's, David Orrick, invented the Orrick vacuum cleaner and was also from Duluth. Famous musician Robert Zimmerman, also known as Bob Dylan, lived and started his career here in Duluth. Don LaFontaine, the famous movie trailer announcer for coining the term "in the world," came from Duluth. And novelist Sinclair Lewis got his start here, as did industrialist Gino Palucci, and hockey superstar Brett Hull, all called Duluth home.
We are now entering the historic and beautiful neighborhood called Lakeside. The lake is not directly visible from most of this area from the train, but the neighborhood is situated here on the east end of the city, nestled along Lake Superior's shore, only a few blocks away.
This neighborhood was originally known and plotted to be the village called London by May of 1871, and eventually became known as New London. The area was incorporated as the village of Lakeside in 1889 and became part of the city of Duluth 4 years later. Built to service this neighborhood, London Road has become one of the most traveled thoroughfares in the city.
Lakeside hasn't always been the peaceful neighborhood you see today. Much of it was destroyed in the Great Fire of 1918. This fire actually started south of Cloquet, Minnesota, about 20 miles south of Duluth. On October 10, 1918, a passenger train was traveling from Duluth to Hibbing, and some local people reported seeing a small column of smoke next to the tracks. Minnesota was in the middle of a 2-year drought, and with a pile of very dry wood as fuel, combined with very high winds, there was no stopping the fire from erupting. By October 12th, the fire had spread all the way to Lakewood Township, just past the eastern edge of Duluth. Most of the homes and buildings in Lakeside and surrounding areas were destroyed by the fire. More than 250,000 acres were burned that year in Minnesota, and 38 communities were destroyed. The fires caused $73 million in damage, which is $1.2 billion in today's money. Trains were used to evacuate areas, but not before 453 people perished in the Great Fire of 1918.
We've arrived at the Lakeside Siding and have stopped you to perform the runaround. If you look out the lakeside of the train, you'll see a set of tracks running parallel to us. This is called a siding, and it's used to meet other trains and perform runarounds. The locomotive will be removed from the train and brought around to be attached again so it can bring us back to the station. We do this because it's safer for the diesel locomotive to lead the train, and it's also considerably easier for the train crew, giving them better visibility.
We will be stopped for approximately 12 minutes.
And where you need a sweat.
Sometimes you gotta figure it out
Yeah,
before it left.
yeah, because I couldn't remember. Well, clearly I couldn't remember that I even booked the damn thing, but I couldn't remember what time I had even thought of to pick. That is so cool.
Yeah, it is. Oh,
Yep, that's
just
it.
left the.
Boxcar midnight train, destination Bangor, Maine. Worn out don't pay no union dues. I sold cookies I have found, short but not too big around. I'm a man of means, by no left 50 cents. No phone, no food, no pets. I ain't got no cigarettes. I put 2 hours of pushing.
There you go.
I just think we yellow red or blue.
More trees today. Okay.
Yellow.
I had to find a line for Brewery.